Day.
And I'm Richard Day.
We're both chiropractors.
We've been in practice together for 11 years.
Married for 10.
With 3 beautiful little girls.
We know it's possible to have an exceptional practice that's built around your life.
Because we've done it.
So we've created this podcast,
the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast.
We'll interview chiropractors, answer questions, and bring you resources to help build and grow your practice.
So let's get this party started.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Haley Day, and this week we are continuing our talk about the 5 things you must know before starting your first practice. Last week we started with a talk about mindsets. That was thing number 1, and how greatly that will affect your ability to move through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and opening and growing your own practice. And you need to remember that mindset plays a significant role in determining achievement and success. So as you are going out, transitioning from being a student to owning your own practice, mindset is going to play a huge part in whether you're going to achieve the things you're setting out to do and succeed. And when you are transitioning from student to business owner, you need to be, these are some qualities that we talked about among a lot of other things, but you need to be resilient and you need to keep getting back up when things don't go your way, or maybe the practice doesn't grow quite as fast as you thought it would. And you need to be resilient to that. Second, you need to be adaptable. You need to be open to trying new ways of marketing, new systems in your practice until you can really find what's going to work for you and your patients. And you don't want to change too often, but you do want to be open to the fact that maybe something needs to change. And then third, you need to be resourceful. You need to use what you have. I talked to a chiropractor this week that I interviewed for the podcast, or I talked to her today, and her first practice was in the basement of her ex-boyfriend's house. So you need to be resourceful. You need to use what you have. And all of us are starting at different points when we transition from out of school. Some of us are going to be able to buy practices, and some of us are going to have to start in the basement of our ex-boyfriend's house or in a yoga studio like Sarah Kuchera that we had on the podcast earlier this year or last year, I think. And she started in a yoga studio, and she would unpack her table between classes and then pack it back up. And that's what worked for her. Now she owns her own yoga studio and chiropractic, and they have massage and all sorts of things. So that's an awesome podcast to go back and listen to if you haven't yet, Sarah Kuchera. These 3 things, being resilient, adaptable, and resourceful, are going to be so important for you, and improving your mindset is everything. So take some time to evaluate where you're at with it and make small, sustainable changes over time to how you are now. And creating a better mindset is a process. It's going to be a day-to-day. It's not an event, and it's self-growth over time. Your journey through life, you're going to have lots of mindset shifts, and that's important. So earlier this week, I continued the conversation about mindset, and the first step to making changes is actually recognizing your own mindset weakness and creating those skills to overcome them. So one of my areas of weakness when we were starting was confidence, and not so much on the clinical side, but on the selling and communication side of being a chiropractor. And luckily that was one of Rich's strengths. So I was able to model him, work with him on how I communicated with patients, and over time develop the skills needed to be better at communicating care and the treatment plans I came up with and the goals that I had for my patients. And so those 3 steps that really helped me once I recognized having my mindset challenge were to find someone to mentor me that had a strength I didn't have, prepare myself for future interactions, and practice to break through those walls. So if you are finding yourself, if you're realizing, hey, I think this is a mindset issue for me, after you listen to last week's podcast episode, then those are going to be the steps you want to go through. Find someone that can help you, that's their strength, and then prepare yourself for those situations and practice. Throw yourself in the fire and really go after those fears or the mindset areas that you're having issues with. So let's get to thing number 2 you must know before starting a business, and that is the business plan. And every business should start with a business plan. It's what's going to bring all of your chiropractic practice ideas, dreams, and plans into focus. The business plan will give your business direction. It's going to define the overall objectives of your practice. It's going to map out the strategies you have to achieve your goals and help you manage possible bumps that could happen in the road. So preparing a business plan is going to help you work out the practice goals you want to achieve and the strategies you're going to use to achieve those goals. Also, potential investors and supporters want to see the true potential of your business idea clearly laid out in hard facts and numbers. And if your business plan is done well, then you can use it to secure the loan you'll need to start or maybe even buy the practice that you're looking at. And a business plan is the best and generally the only acceptable way to provide this information. So if you're looking to secure a loan, even with a private investor or a bank, then you are going to want to have this business plan. And it really starts with that vision that you have that we talked about a couple weeks ago for how you want to practice and really putting that on paper and figuring out how it's going to look. And if you don't need a loan, then you'll still use the business plan as a guide for how you'll get from where you currently are to becoming a successful chiropractor, paying all of your bills and taking home all that money you need to support your family and your life. And once you've put your business plan together, it becomes your action plan. You're creating a document that not only outlines where you are and where you want to be, but also gives you the direction you need to get there. When we started our first practice, we didn't have to secure a loan, but we had a business plan anyway. And we used our plan to make sure we stayed on task and hit our goals in the process of succeeding in practice. And so even if you are not going to be looking for securing a loan, a business plan is really still a great idea to help you identify the areas. And I'm going to talk through kind of the areas that are in the business plan in a minute. But the business plan is going to help you see that picture of how you're going to get from where you are now to succeeding. And some of you might be putting off putting a business plan together because it's time consuming, and it really is. You have to think through a lot of things. You're going to have to do some research on the internet and come up with some real numbers, or maybe you're unsure of where to start. And maybe you think you don't need one, and maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need a secure loan, but I still think a business plan is a good idea. And this isn't the time to be lazy. You have to start working through these things and making sure you have a viable concept, a solid plan, and the right amount of finances to stay afloat until you are succeeding in covering all of your budget. And then also the numbers need to be real and well supported, or you won't get the financing or support you need. You can't say, I'm going to see 100 people my first week and make X amount of dollars. It needs to be real numbers. And maybe it is 100 people, but then you need to show how you have those 100 people coming in and why they're coming to you that first week. So I'm going to briefly touch on most of the sections of a business plan right now. And this should get you started in figuring out some of these details out. A business plan should be structured and professional. We recommend using a template of some sort. You can find them on the internet. We have one I'll talk about later, but first let's run through some of the sections that you're going to need to think about. And the first one is your summary. The summary section is first, and in some ways is the most important because they need to read through that, and it needs to convey to them that they should read through the whole plan because it's a good one and you're ready and prepared to start your business. And it should emphasize the key parts of your plan and business and kind of a summary of what your plan is to do. And then you're going to talk about you. You're going to have about the doctor section. Then you're going to have a company description, and this is going to include your legal name, the type of entity that you're going to be, your mission, your vision, any product or service that you're going to provide, the technical environment of the practice, what kind of EHR you're going to use, and computers, that kind of thing, and then the conditions that you'll treat. The next section is industry analysis and trends. So this is a comprehensive insight into the whole chiropractic as an industry, global and national conditions. and the trends that can affect a practice's success and growth. So you want to be prepared to talk about that. That's the kind of thing you can find online. The next section is market analysis, and this is a narrative paragraph. It's going to paint a picture of the local market opportunity. And you can see how you're really going to start putting this business plan as you start putting it together. It's painting the picture of the practice that you're planning to build. And so you're painting that picture for this person that you're hoping is going to give you money, but also for yourself, so you can really see how you're going to be doing this. And this is a lot like I talked about earlier this week, how I would visualize myself communicating and answering my patients' questions. And so this is the same kind of thing. You're visualizing your practice and how it's all coming together. And so I think that's really exciting. Hopefully you do too. The next section is going to be the competitive analysis. And who are the current players in the industry and how are you going to compete with them in your area? And it gives you the opportunity to plan out how you will enter the market and how you're going to differentiate yourself from the current chiropractors in your area. The next section is the strategic position and risk assessment company strengths. So your business strategy, how you are going to, and some of this might seem a little repetitive. You can find more detail online about each of these sections, but this is going to be your business strategy, how you're going to use to grow your practice. And then the next one is the marketing plan and strategy. So very similar. And this addresses how you will reach the target market with your message and how are you going to market your practice. The next section is operations. So the strategy of your day-to-day implementation of your business model. So how are you, and we talk a lot about like the systems of your practice and how important they're going to be. And so this is going to be a lot of that, how you are going to operate your business so that it's successful. The next section is the development milestones and growth strategy. So this is kind of like a timeline. What steps need to occur for you to launch and grow your business? And the strategy outlines methods that will take the business from opening through each stage of development. So you're going to be sure to include long-term company goals and have a timeline or some other chart that shows the progression of how the practice is going to grow over time. And the next section is the startup summary. So this is going to summarize the amount of startup capital that you're going to need, what the money will be used for. And then last but not least is the appendix. And this is going to definitely include your financials that you're projecting. And then it might also include some of these other things like a resume for the key people involved, a copy of licenses that you have, estimates for any startup cost, market research, quotes or estimates that you're going to need, letters of intent from prospective patients, that would be nice, key contracts, letters of endorsement, people who support you and who believe in you, copies of leases, the floor plan, a sample of your logo, advertising brochures. And a lot of this is just showing them that you're committed and well prepared. Any legal documents relevant to the business, photos and designs of products or the location and demographics data that you can find online and any industry reports. So all of that stuff is going to help support what you're saying in the narrative of the business plan. And so all of that's very important. And the more you have, the better. People like to kind of geek out on this information and really love to see how prepared you are. So there are places on the internet that you can download sample plans and some that you can purchase, I want to say for maybe around $100, $150. We have those mentioned in the Chiroplanner. However, we have one in the foundation that you can download and fill out, and we'll also help you get it filled out in the private Facebook group associated with the membership in the foundation. If you are not familiar with the foundation, it's a membership library that we have. It's a low monthly fee like Netflix, and there's over 50 other resources in there to help you through the process of getting open open, including our business plan template that's been used to secure loans. And you can cancel your membership anytime. If you are 6 months or less from opening on your own and you have more questions about all of this, then the foundation is absolutely the right for you. You can visit jointhefoundation.com to learn more about that. Thanks for following along with us this week. This was week number 2 of our 5-week series, the 5 things you must know before starting a practice. Next week, we'll discuss thing number 3. If you haven't downloaded the ebook yet, go to lifestylepracticebuilders.com/ebook, put in your information, and we'll send the book to you, and you'll know all 5 things before we finish this 5-week series. You'll also receive some helpful emails that will give you some more tips and action steps as you work towards opening your first practice. We are here to help support you in any way we can. Feel free to send us a DM on Instagram at Lifestyle Practice, or you can find us on Facebook and send us a DM there. But we love to hear from you guys and hope that you have an awesome week or weekend. And those of you taking part 4 boards, we're cheering you on, and do well and come out on the other side. We'll talk to you next week.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with your friends on Instagram and Facebook. And for those of you who are already subscribers, we really appreciate it. Thanks for the reviews. We love reading those and knowing that you're loving the podcast. If you're looking for more tips and inspiration, be sure to check us out at lifestylepracticebuilders.com or join our business and marketing Facebook group for chiropractors at facebook.com/group/lifestylepractice.